Okay, let's step back in time. Way back. Imagine it's 1770. You're a teenager, but not in the way we think of it today. You're living in colonial Massachusetts, and while the world around you is about to explode into revolution, your reality is all about the farm. We're going to step right into that world to see how a life like that could forge a new nation.
So, what was it really like? I mean, this is a world with no electricity, no internet. News travels only as fast as a horse can run, and the very idea of being a teenager, it just didn't exist. To get a real feel for it, we're going to follow a day in the life of one young man living right through it.
So, let's meet our guy. This is Benjamin Seaver. He's 13 years old, and he lives on a farm in Shrewsbury, Massachusetts. Now, he's not some big name from a history book, and that's exactly why he's so important. His totally normal, everyday life gives us this incredible window into a world that was on the brink of changing forever. The first thing you've got to understand about Benjamin's world is that it was crowded. By 1770, his parents, Norman and Sarah, had, wait for it, 10 children. Yep, 10.
And Benjamin was the oldest son, right in the thick of this chaotic household. You've got his older sister, Eunice, all the way down to his baby brother, Heman, who's just one. And they were all living together in what was likely a small, maybe 4-room house. Just try to imagine the constant noise.
Personal space? Forget about it. That just wasn't a thing. Benjamin would have almost certainly shared a bed, probably crammed in with his 2 younger brothers, in an upstairs room with absolutely no heat. In those brutal Massachusetts winters, the only thing keeping you warm at night was, well, your brothers.
His day was just relentless. It was dictated entirely by the sun. He'd be up before dawn, around 5 a.m., to care for the animals. After a quick breakfast, it was straight into hours of fieldwork, which just bled into more work in the afternoon. You didn't stop till it was dark. This wasn't a summer job. This was his life. And this highlights a huge difference in how people thought back then. At 13, Benjamin wasn't seen as a kid anymore, not in the way we think of it. He was a young worker. He was a vital part of the family's economic survival. His labor literally helped put food on the table. And his work was this constant battle against the seasons. In the spring, he was wrestling a plow through rocky soil. Summer meant back-breaking heat, weeding and haying. In the fall, it was a mad race against the frost to get the harvest in. And winter? That was all about chopping firewood to keep from freezing. There was never, ever a break.
So, what about school? Well, he might have gotten a few weeks of it in what they called winter school when the farm work slowed down. But let's be honest, his real education happened every single day, out in the fields and the barn with his father as his teacher.
And the skills he had to learn were immense. This wasn't just simple labor. It was a highly complex profession. He was basically learning to be a biologist to understand crops, an engineer to fix tools, and a veterinarian to care for animals, all learned by doing. Survival depended on knowing this stuff.
There was one guaranteed day of rest, though: Sunday. The Sabbath was strictly observed, no work. The whole family would go to the meeting house for hours, but it was about way more than just religion. In a world where everyone was so isolated, this was the community hub. It was where you caught up on news and connected with your neighbors.
It's pretty fascinating to see how they had fun. You see, entertainment wasn't some separate thing, it was woven right into their lives. The biggest social events were actually work parties, like a barn raising, where the whole community would come together to tackle a massive job and then celebrate like crazy afterward.
But joy was also found in these really small, simple moments. Hunting wasn't just a chore, it was an adventure. Jumping in a pond on a sweltering hot day, that was pure freedom. And on a long winter night, the whole family gathered around the fire, telling stories, that was connection.
But while Benjamin's world was being shaped by the farm, the outside world was starting to creep in. Just a few months earlier, the Boston Massacre had sent shockwaves through the colony. And even in a small, rural town like Shrewsbury, people were talking, debating British taxes. There was an anger that was slowly building.
And this timeline just puts it all into perspective, doesn't it? In just 5 short years, the entire world that Benjamin knew, this life of farming and family, was going to be turned completely upside down. The boy who was learning to handle a team of oxen would soon be learning how to handle a musket.
Look, by our standards today, Benjamin's life was incredibly difficult. But that very hardship created a generation of young people who were disciplined, who were persistent, who were unbelievably resourceful. Without even knowing it, he was becoming exactly the kind of person a new nation would need to fight for its freedom.
His world demanded a kind of toughness and a set of practical skills that are almost unimaginable to us now. It taught him how to endure, how to innovate, and how to rely on his community. And it leaves us with a really fascinating question to think about. Benjamin's hard life taught him resilience. So, what does our modern comfort teach us?